welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of May. This month there is not going to be a TBR trim down video only because I got a late start due to everything that happened at the beginning of this month. Don't worry, there will be one next month. Let me just suffice it to say that I went from 107 down to 103, so that was fantastic. I didn't finish 3 of the books that were on my TBR, so I will be picking some challenges out of the jar. I will do that at the end of this video. But for now, let's talk about the books that I read in May. So the first book that I finished in May was Voyage on the Great Titanic, which is in the Dear America series. This series is one that I loved as a girl, and I reread this and loved it again. This one is, of course, the Diary of Margaret Ann Brady, who is a fictitious character created as the eyes that you see this experience of being on the Titanic, and of course what happens to the Titanic through a little girl's eyes. So this series has lots of different historical events as well as historical time periods that you get to see through these girls' diaries. They're all fictitious characters, but they are meant to represent the people in that time period or during that big historical event. So they're really great. I highly recommend them, especially if you have a young daughter or even a young son who is interested in history, or that you want to be interested in history, or just to teach them. They're really easy reads. They're written again like a diary. So each section starts with the date and where they are at the time, and it just goes through the event. So this was a 4 out of 5 star read for me. I loved it. I highly recommend it for any young readers out there, as well as adult readers. They're really great ways to gain a little bit of a different perspective on historical events. The next book that I finished was Banana Cream Pie Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is in the Hannah Swenson Murder Mystery series, which is a series that I really love. Unfortunately, the more recent books have not been as good, not as well written as some of the earlier ones, but they are still okay. This one was 3 out of 5 stars for me. I do love the recipes. Unfortunately, like I said, the writing just has not been great, and the mysteries haven't been as good, as well thought out as they have been in the past. I still enjoy this series, and I do recommend especially the earlier books in this series if you like cozy mysteries. The next book that I finished was High Iron by Tim Crary, and I received this book for free from the author in exchange for a review, so I do have a review on Goodreads as well. This was a fantasy book, and I did overall enjoy it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Some of the writing was a little disjointed to me, but for the most part I really enjoyed it. And I really think it would be a good book for a little bit of a younger reader who wants to get into fantasy, because it was a short book. It was just over 200 pages, maybe close to 300, I can't remember exactly. But there wasn't like any gore or any language, and so I think it would be really good for young readers who maybe like fantasy. So I did gift it to a couple of my nephews who like reading, so hopefully that they will enjoy it. I did enjoy it as well. It just wasn't as amazing as some other fantasy books that I've read, but it was still good and enjoyable. Next up, I read Emeline, which is the prequel novel to the Blue Orchid Society series, which will be, I believe, a Victorian love romance. I can't talk. I believe it will be a Victorian romance series, but it focuses on the Blue Orchid Society, which, based on the very little bit that I know, is like a society that worked on female rights back in the Victorian times. So this one was really good. This one was set in Regency, so it was earlier than when the rest of them are going to be set. But I really enjoyed it. It was a shorter book, like a novella basically, and it was a really cute romance, and it had a lot of really good feminist themes, a lot of woman power, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I really do recommend that one. That was a 4 out of 5 star read. After that, my mom and I went on a trip down to visit my sister in Arizona, and that is about a 15-hour drive, and we did it all in one day based on coronavirus things and lots of hotels not being open. So we drove the whole way in one day, and because of that, we had a lot of time in the car, and we listened to a book. On the way there, we listened to Nighthawk by Clive Cussler. It was the first Clive Cussler I have ever listened to or read, but my mom loves his books. So this one was really good. It's kind of like a spy-ish action book. It was good. I enjoyed it. To give full disclosure, I did sleep through some of it, so I did not technically I was listening to it because I was asleep, but it was on. But I did listen to most of it, so I counted it. But I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I definitely think I will read some other Clive Cusslers. They're just really fun action-adventure books. Basically the same kind of things you would expect in an action-adventure movie, but in book form, so it was really fun. After that, while we were at my sister's, I read Nancy Drew and the 13th Pearl, which is number 56 in the series. I love Nancy Drew. This one is a little bit of a later one, and I didn't like it as much. Her and her dad go to Japan to solve this mystery, but then she has to come back to America because actually nothing really happens in Japan in most of the story. So, I mean, it was good. It was Nancy Drew. It was fun. It was cute. But it wasn't one of my favorites of the Nancy Drews that I've read. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Of course, we had to drive down to Arizona, so we had to drive home from Arizona, which was another 15-hour drive. And on the way back, we listened to The Quiche of Death by M.C. Beaton. Is that right? Yes, by M.C. Beaton, which is the first book in the Agatha Raisin series. Just recently, we had like free 30 days on Acorn. I might be wrong, but I think it's on Acorn TV. And on there is the Agatha Raisin TV series, and we watched it, and it was so funny, and it was so good. Highly recommend the TV show. And so I'd been wanting to read the books, and I found it on our library's app, but they have really, really long wait lists, and it just happened to come up at the right time so that we could listen to it on the way back, and it was really fun. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I will say it dragged quite a bit in this first one, and I'm hoping that that's just because they were setting up all of the characters so that maybe future ones will be a little bit faster paced. But regardless, it was still really good. It's really funny. Agatha Raisin is a great character. After that, when we got home, I finished Threshold of Destiny by Lynn Chappell. And this one, again, I received free from the author in exchange for a review. So this is the first in a series. It's a vampire series, kind of paranormal thriller, action-adventure kind of book. And overall, I enjoyed it. There were some really interesting things. So it's this girl whose name, oh shoot, I can't remember. I'm not really good with names though, so don't. Anyways, it's this girl with psychic abilities, and she is part of this organization of people who are tracking down vampires because they found a way to turn them human. So it's interesting, and she falls in love with a vampire, and he's kind of horrible, honestly. I really had a problem with the way the love interest, the vampire, treated her. What's her name? Okay, Trina. Wait, is that right? Tressa. Tressa is a girl, and who's the... Peter's her brother, Holt. Holt is the vampire, so, okay. So I really had an issue with Holt and the way that he talked to Tressa. He was just really kind of bullyish and demeaning. So don't really know why she fell in love with him. I did not like him at all. And I also felt like she was just really kind of a dumb character. She just seemed to like just go along with whatever her brothers or Holt said, and I felt like she has so many really cool qualities and abilities, and she just doesn't use them to their full potential, and she doesn't... I feel like there was so much room for her to grow and become so much more outspoken and like confident in herself, and that didn't really happen. I just really wanted her to stand up for herself from Holt, because like I said, he really did not treat her well, and that really bothered me. So anyways, I just felt like there was a lot more room for her to grow and to become like a much better person, and also there was a lot more room for her to actually help when sticky situations showed up. Like, one of her abilities is she can like stretch out her mind and see other people's intentions, so what they're planning on doing basically in the next few minutes or whatever. But all she ever does with this is like, she does it, she reads their intentions. One time she reads the intention that this guy is planning on killing her, and that's all she does. She just reads it and then she's like, I'm gonna die. Like, no, okay, that could be really useful, for one, and you could actually do something about what you feel or see or whatever. So anyways, I did take some issues with this. Overall, I did like the action parts were pretty good, and the more thrillery atmospheric parts were good, but the characters themselves were not my favorite, unfortunately. So we'll see. I do kind of want to continue with this series as it comes out, because like I said, there were some really interesting paranormal aspects. Like, I think they call it like the shadow world or something, which is this kind of parallel universe that our spirits live in, and part of these people's abilities, the psychics' abilities, is they can walk in that world with their eyes open, and most people, their spirits in that world, their eyes are closed. It sounds weird, it's hard to explain, but that was really interesting, and I would like to see more exploration of that world, as well as some of the other abilities that showed up in the different characters. So I am interested in reading more. Unfortunately, this one didn't really love it, didn't love the characters. I still gave it 3 out of 5 stars because of the really interesting and unique qualities that were in it, and the writing was overall pretty good. I just really took issue with the main love story in this book. And last but not least, I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which is fantastic. I mean, I think Harry Potter's been talked about over and over. Of course, I still love talking about it. So if you didn't know already, I'm doing a Harry Potter read-along. I will link the Goodreads group down below, as well as my Instagram, which is where I did a live discussion of this book at the end of last month. if you would like to check that out. This month, Chris Wiltshire is our host, so I will link her Instagram as well down below so you can check her out, and we are reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets this month if you want to join us. Alright, that is all the books that I read in May. I think that was 7 books, which is a really good month for me. So I did not finish 3 of the books that were on my original TBR. One of them was Little Women. I am trying, you guys. I am trying to push through the end of that book. But I do not like the ending. And I mean, I've never read the book, but I've seen the movie. And I just don't like the ending. And I obviously don't like what happens to Beth. And so I'm trying to push through it. But man, it is slow going, you guys, because it just messes with my heart, okay? Anyways, so that's one of the books. Then I also did not read The Bourne Supremacy, right? Yes, The Bourne Supremacy by Robert Ludlum. I just ran out of time. This is a chunker of a book and it just didn't happen. I'm gonna try and get to it this month. Maybe. We'll see. I've got a big TBR again this month. And then I also did not get to the first one in this book, They Came to Baghdad, by Agatha Christie. Whoa. In this is a chunk of a book, but this is 5 of her novels altogether. So I was just gonna read the first one, but I also did not get to that because I ran out of time. So I've got 3 challenges to pick. So let's do that now before we jump into my June TBR, which is big. So let's see. Okay, challenge number 1. Oh, okay. This is to maybe. Oh, it's thinking about it. There we go, to reread a favorite. Okay, to reread a favorite. I don't have any rereads on my TBR, so I will think about that as I pick out my other challenges, and then we will go pick something off my shelf together in just a minute. So, challenge number 2. Oh, okay. So this one is, I don't know if you can see, random number generator. And basically I'm just going to go to a random number generator, pick out that random number, then count through my books over here and then my piles over here that you can't see. And that will be the book that I read for this month. So random.org. Well, I have 103 on my, obviously on my TBR, so I will do that, and then if it's more than I have physical books, I will go to my ebooks, because I do have some of those. 65. Okay, let's get to counting. 40 on here. So I'm going to head over here and we'll be back in just a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm back. The 65th book that I counted was The Serial Murders by Diane Mott Davidson. This is another culinary mystery series that I really like. Okay, let's see, can you read that? To read the highest rated, so I put the books, all of my physical books, on my Goodreads under physical TBR, and we will look at what is the highest rated. Let's see. Of course it would be. Okay, the highest rated book on my Goodreads is The Lord of the Rings. This is a binding of all 3 books in one, so it's a huge book. Technically this is the one that's the highest rated, which is the binding, but I will just be reading the first book. They're still long, so I'm finding this is not my friend, but it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, so I will be reading the first Lord of the Rings book this month. Okay, and lastly, let's go figure out what I'm going to be rereading as an old favorite. Okay, I'm back, and since I loved my Dear America book from last month, I'm going to be reading another one. This one is Dreams in the Golden Country, The Diary of Zipporah Feldman, a Jewish immigrant girl. And it's supposed to take place in New York City, 1903. And now let's talk about the rest of my TBR, which is already super long. I've already finished 2 books this month, which I don't have in here. I finished Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes, and I finished How to Fix a Broken Record by Amina Brown, so those 2 are of course on my TBR, but I have already finished them at the time of filming this. As well, I am working on 3 different books right now that I'm currently reading. One of them is The Woman in White, which if you've been here a while, you know I've been working on it for a while, but this time I added tabs as a reading goal every day so that I will finish it within the next week. So that one will be done. Also, I am participating in Housecupathon, which is a readathon centered around Harry Potter, where you are put into your houses and then you earn points for every book that you read depending on how long they are, as well as for completing prompts. So a lot of these will be completing prompts, and I'll just be getting house points for each of the books that I read, and I'm very excited to participate in it. It's been really fun so far. I'm also currently reading The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I'm hopefully going to finish this either today or mostly today and then tomorrow. And lastly, of course, I am reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I created a buddy reading schedule for this book, so I have it all marked up in my book. But basically, I'm through chapter 5 right now, and this week I will be getting through chapter 10. If you would like to join, all the schedules and everything are linked in my Instagram, so go and check that out. This is heavy. I have a lot of books on this TBR this month. A lot of books. So I don't know if I'm going to get through them all. But next up I have Agatha Christie, Appointment with. I'm reading Farmer Boy by Laura Ingalls Wilder. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. And I have to read this within the next 5 days because I need to take it back to the library, which finally opened. Nancy Drew, The Mystery at Lilac Inn. And last but not least, Focused. Maybe this will focus. By Noelle Picus Pace. So, how many books is that? Let's see. I've already read 2. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 14 books, you guys. Okay. There it is. That's my TBR stack. That thing's huge. That's huge. Yeah. That's a huge stack of books. I don't know if I'll get through all of them. I'm gonna do my best. Wish me luck. Because apparently I like to set expectations super high for myself and then fail. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a happy reading month, and I will see you guys next month, and I promise there will be a TBR trimmed down video next month with more books, and I'll hopefully have read all of these. Bye.